What is going on, Washington fans? Welcome to Taking Command with Josh Taylor here on the YouTube channel. As always, hit that subscribe button and like if you enjoy what you see. Drop your comments on your thoughts on what I'm about to talk about because it is now Monday afternoon, October 10th. I don't know when you're watching the show, if it just came out, if you're coming back to this, but I've had enough, and it's not even just because of what we heard today, which I'm definitely going to talk about, but enough is enough, guys. Ron Rivera has to go. I've seen enough. Love the guy as a person, but as a head coach for our football team, it's time to move on. So definitely going to talk about a lot of things. I honestly don't even know where to start. I'm so fed up with it, with how we look as a team, how unprepared we are, how poorly coached we are. And I mean, there's just so much to unpack. So let's just start from the beginning. I'm not going to make this super long. I'm not going to dive too much in depth with this because there's so much I could talk about with why I think Ron Rivera needs to be gone. But nonetheless, the record in 2020 was 7-10, lost in the divisional wild card to the Buccaneers with a crazy COVID year, with everybody that was out in the final stretch of games that we played, beating Sudfield, Mullins, and Andy Dalton twice, who was the quarterback for the Cowboys, pretty much getting handed the opportunity to go to the playoffs, beat the Eagles at the end there. Jalen Hurts gets hurt, whatever. 2020, nonetheless, we go to the playoffs with a losing record at 7-9 and lose to the Bucs, which ended up being, a close game. But it seemed like the team had something to play for, motivation. Being in the playoffs better motivate the hell out of you. And we saw a motivated team finally, which we haven't seen much of since that game, to be honest with you. But the record in 2021, same thing, 7-10. And it was ugly. There's so much to unpack from that season. Like I said, I'm not going to get too in depth with all these. And then here we sit right now, week 5, starting at 1-4. Ron Rivera has a record as a Washington head coach of 15-24 total. Now, he started January 1st, 2020, hand-selected Jack Del Rio to be his defensive coordinator and Scott Turner, who he knew through North Turner. Okay, it is what it is. You selected your defensive coordinator and your offensive coordinator from the jump. So you set the foundation. Not only that, he was the GM until we got Mayhew not too long ago in 2021, and still to this day has the final say in player personnel. Something very important to remember as this video progresses. He has complete control over the team personnel. That is something Dan Snyder gave him, and I'm sure that is something he talked about with Mayhew, who has some say with player personnel stuff. I get it, but at the end of the day, it was up to Ron Rivera to build this team, which he has, and he has complained about many times, including today. So his answer at quarterback seems to be Alex Smith, trading a 5th-round pick for Kyle Allen, who did absolutely nothing just because he played for the Panthers. Taylor Heineke, who, as we know, super limited, had these, flashy moments at times, but not a long-term build-around quarterback. And if you still to this day think that he is the answer for the Carson Wentz and offensive struggles, you're absolutely wrong. And I have no idea what to tell you. I'm kind of disappointed I even have to say that. Then he has Ryan Fitzpatrick for a 1-year deal last year. And then he gets Carson Wentz and trades him and says this is their guy. This is the guy they wanted. Paid him $28 million he's owed this year. Thankfully, it's a $0 dead cap hit next season, which is the only blessing in this trade. Swapping 2nd-round picks, okay, I'm cool with it. The Colts are terrible. Might actually be worse than us, which is insane. But then also a conditional 3rd-round pick that can be a 2nd-round pick if Carson Wentz plays over a certain amount, which I want to say was 70%, which would be week 14. If I have that right, I might be wrong. But still, it's around that time, week 14. So rumors come out, and it's been out, but it kind of resurfaced against the Eagles game that Washington was interested in Jimmy G. And that's something I said back at training camp, not this past year, but the year before that, when we had Ryan Fitzpatrick. I told y'all, and I you can check the tweets, you can check my receipts, everything I've said on Twitter at Josh Taylor FB. I said, I remember standing at training camp, sweating balls. It was hot as could be. And I got a text from one of my buddies with very close with the 49ers, said, hey, I don't know if you've heard anything, but Washington has inquired about Jimmy G. Nothing ended up getting done. It seems like we asked about him again this past offseason before we got Carson Wentz. But then, of course, his injury, the surgery with his contract and everything, it didn't work out. I also said something that Jimmy G probably wouldn't want to come here and play, and he had a no trade clause. So nonetheless, we got Jimmy G, said he was our guy. Ron said this is his guy that he hand selected. Even with the Jimmy G stuff, don't care. This is the guy you pick. This is the guy you're rolling with, right? So in addition to that, and draft wise, I'll say this real quick. Draft wise, 2020, Chase Young, Antonio Gibson, Sadiq Charles, Antonio Gandy Golden, Keith Ishmael, Khalid Hudson, Cameron Curl, James Smith Williams. Good draft. Couple guys going to fall out. That's fine. Couple of guys aren't here anymore. It's whatever. You're not going to hit them all, but still, late round Jim, Cam Curl. You got your, future Chase Young. You got your Antonio Gibson. Sadiq Charles looks like he's going to be good at guard for us. Whatever. 2021, Jamin Davis, Samuel Cosme, Ben St. Juste, De'Ami Brown, John Bates, Derek Forrest, Cameron Cheeseman, William Bradley King, Shaka Toney, Dax Milne. Same thing. All these guys are still here. You might have someone fall off eventually, but still, key contributors. Jamin Davis is getting better, a guy who he's picked on all season long, and Jamin Davis has played better ever since then. Ben St. Juste looks like he's going to be a beast. Sam Cosme, De'Ami Brown finally popped off. John Bates still. Derek Forrest looks like promising. Still, whatever, good draft. 2022, Jahan Dotson, Phil Mathis, Brian Robinson Jr., Percy Butler, Sam Howell, Cole Turner, Chris Paul, and Christian Holmes. Obviously, Jahan Dotson's going to be a beast. I think Phil Mathis is going to be a beast. Same with Brian Robinson. Not impressed with Percy Butler yet. Don't know what you got with Sam Howell. Might have the future quarterback. So, nonetheless, I think these are 3 good drafts. I'm not going to harp on that. If I don't think he was the main guy, with the draft, I think he has a majority control of the draft. And if so, then he did a great job the last 3 years. I'm not mad at that at all. There are plenty of teams who have done way, way worse, including the Panthers. But when we talk about free agency wise, the awful free agent signings, yes, you got Curtis Samuel because he was with the Panthers, got better after he left, kind of found more of that role after Ron Rivera left. Obviously, out his first season, looks like he's going to be a great contributor, for the next 2 years of his contract, and maybe he comes back, don't know. But still, he's a big part of this offense right now. Cool. But this is your awful free agent signings. William Jackson III, who was his premier corner signing at the time, seemed like he would be one of the top corners in free agency, gave him a 3-year, $42 million contract, and he was benched on Sunday. Didn't say he was injured, said we just decided to make a change. And then William Jackson III comes out and says something about a disc in his back. But Ron Rivera says nothing about that, says he wasn't hurt. So it just seems like he was sick and tired of his play, which rightfully so. He's been awful. But my thing is, he was a top man coverage corner at Cincinnati. You play him in a ton of zone. You put him on islands. Expect him to do something crazy. And not saying that he's been good, because I think he's been awful. And I think he was rightfully so to be benched after missing a big tackle. It seems like every single week. And then, of course, against the Cowboys game, getting just left in the dust by CeeDee Lamb, and then missing a big tackle against Derrick Henry. He comes out, gets benched. Ben St. Juste goes on the outside, and Wild Goose goes in the nickel. So finally, he had some accountability, took him out of the game. Bobby McCain, he was bad his first year. He's 5'9". He moved from corner to safety with Miami, misses a ton of tackles, misses a ton. He's a liability in coverage, dropped a ton of interceptions last year. I can count at least 3 that he dropped last year. So they bring him back for a 2-year contract worth $11 million. They had no solution at safety. You get rid of Landon Collins, who's more of the bigger safety. Get it? Kind of used him as that linebacker role. But you bring back Bobby McCain as the guy. Derek Forrest never got a chance last year, even with Bobby McCain getting torched. It took Cam Curl being hurt for Derek Forrest to get on the field this year, and he looked great against the Jaguars, and he's been playing pretty well even after that. So then you have Andrew Norwell. So you lose Brandon Sheriff to the Jaguars, and then you cut Eric Flowers. You could have brought him back. You could have re-signed him. This is a guy that was terrible with the Giants, but somehow, for some reason, was great with Washington. One of the most dependable linemen for Washington, and they let him go. He's still a free agent right now. Obviously, I think he should come back because Andrew Norwell and Trey Turner, Trey Turner was a Panther, and then Andrew Norwell played with the Jaguars. That's your answer to losing all-pro guard Brandon Sheriff. And I wasn't for re-signing Sheriff. I'll say that. I was not for re-signing him because of the injuries. I thought it would be way too much to have to pay him. But nonetheless, he was good when he was on the field. And same with Flowers. But you bring in Trey Turner, who has been terrible, who once again got benched. A guy that you hand-selected got benched by Sadiq Charles last week. And I even tweeted out, I said, Sadiq Charles needs to start getting some reps because this is awful. Every single week, people were just blowing by him, especially with the Eagles game, Lions game, whatever. He was getting run over. Andrew Norwell last week. There's a 4-play sequence where it's penalty, sack, penalty, sack. And it's not just, hard fought sacks. He's getting plowed over. And I'm going to do a film review on that probably tomorrow night. Like I said, don't know when you're watching this, but check out the video. I'm going to do a film breakdown on Norwell, De'Ami Brown, some of the good, some of the bad against the Titans game. But still, if the accountability is like keeping up, Andrew Norwell should be benched next. And I don't want to hear it with injuries. Every team in the NFL deals with injuries. It is your job as the coach to have a plan in place to replace these guys and to develop your players to where they are ready. So Chris Paul on the line. Haven't seen him yet. Sadiq Charles, we finally just seen him. Sam Cosmi, you picked him out. He's hurt. I get it. It's next man up. You're signing guys off the street. But you're telling me Trey Turner and Andrew Norwell was your fix to replacing that line, which was not bad last year. I don't know what to tell you, and it just gets worse. I'm telling you, the Bills got an injury report. They've got starting safeties out for the season. I know they got Josh Allen. They got all these studs. But I'm telling you, check every single team in the NFL. I do not want to hear this injury excuse. I'm sick of hearing that. I'm sick of hearing the excuses. It is your job to coach these guys up. And John Allen said that Ron Rivera is a great leader of men. That's fine. I need a coach. I need someone who's going to develop these players, put passion into the game, get these guys ready. I can't tell you how many home games I've been to. I've been to 2 just this season alone, many last year, and many, the COVID year we couldn't really go. But and I've been to so many of these games with Ron Rivera coaching. That energy and that passion comes from the fans. I'm telling you, like, we're there, we're loud. Yes, when shit hits the fan and things are low right now, we don't show up to the stadium because what do we have to cheer about? Nothing. There's no changes being made. That energy and the passion. I know you've seen me tweet it out with D'Amico Ryans getting hype on the sideline, who, by the way, I think would be a great head coach. I don't want to hear the shit about defensive coordinator. Oh, we need an offensive coordinator coach. Tell me how Cliff Kingsbury and Nathaniel Hackett are doing. It's hit or miss. It's not just every defensive minded head coach is going to be bad. Just like every offensive minded head coach is not going to just be good. I get it. It's an offensive driven league. If you have a good head coach who has a very strong offensive coordinator, it's on the offensive coordinator to have a good offense. I need a guy who can get these players going, give them something to believe in. We're not leading these guys like into war. I don't need Ron Rivera to be a great leader of men. I need someone to invest in these guys, care about these guys, and give them some passion, give them something to play for, man. I'm sick and tired of this cross-armed, just no energy, just lack of caring, it seems like. I'm sure he obviously cares, but it is not shown. There is nothing. I am so sick of just watching other teams and how they are coached better. You check Brian Daboll and what he did with the Giants. Go watch that game in London against the Packers. They are a worse team talent-wise than us, but goddamn, they are better coached top to bottom, and they show it. They play with passion. They play for Brian Daboll. They believe in what he says and what he is doing because he's smart. He knows what he's doing. You see guys like Mike McDaniel in Miami. You see guys like I said with Daboll, even Robert Saleh, some of these really good younger coaches, they know what they're doing. They're investing in these players and giving them something to believe in. Saying like Daboll is calling his players at night, cigar in his mouth, saying like, man, I'm drawing up plays right now. Like, I can't wait to do this, blah, 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 blah. Same with Mike McDaniel. I mean, I'm not asking for much, man. I'm just asking for someone to invest in these guys and give them something positive to work for, and to believe in. They need something to believe in because what you're doing now is not working. The record shows it. I don't know if he got comfortable in 2020 and said, oh, this shit's easy. We're in the playoffs. The NFC East is easy to run. No, you are behind in the rebuild. You are the only team behind in the rebuild in the NFC East, man. And he was asked about it today by this press conference. It's already making headlines everywhere else. Monday Night Football's talking about it. ESPN's got it. NFL Network's been pulled it up. Alex Smith's making comments about it. It's just a shit show. So when asked about why the Cowboys, Giants, and Eagles are ahead in the rebuild, he said because of the quarterbacks. And he specified and said because they've had more time to invest around their quarterbacks. So you're telling me Cooper Rush, Jalen Hurts, and Daniel Jones is why they are ahead. Did you know that Cooper Rush threw 10 passes versus the Rams and they won? Do you know that Daniel Jones has not thrown a touchdown in 3 straight games? And you're telling me that their quarterbacks are the reason why they're so far ahead in the rebuild. No, it is because they are aggressive in free agency. They get big name guys, whether it's A.J. Brown, whether it's Chauncey Gardner from the Saints, and they draft well. They know what they're doing. They are drafting players. But even with the Giants, who with awful free agent signings with Kenny Golladay, they have guys I've never even heard of. Richie James as wide receiver 1, and they are winning games. There is literally no excuse. You have more talent than the Cowboys, than the Giants, and it's pretty close with the Eagles. You know, they got Darius Slay, like I said, Fletcher Cox. I mean, they've got studs all over the place. And then look on offense, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Miles Sanders, great offensive line. They've built the O-line and D-line phenomenally. They draft well, and they sign aggressive free agents that can make impacts. Our free agent guys are sitting on the bench. We've got 2 on the bench, and maybe a third and a fourth one coming with Norwell and Bob McCain. But he said they've had more time to build around their quarterbacks. So you're telling me your answer for this rebuild, which you said is going to take 3 years, was to get Alex Smith, Kyle Allen, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Carson Wentz. Which one of those guys are you building around? Kyle Allen, who you didn't play? Or Alex Smith at the end of his career? Ryan Fitzpatrick at the end of his career? Carson Wentz at the end of his career if this doesn't work out for him? So who are you rebuilding? And you paid $28 million for Carson Wentz this year, and you don't have money to fill the offensive line like you need to. He has plenty of offensive weapons. That line is atrocious. You just deal with these mediocre guys on defense. You deal with these little plug guys. Oh, I think I could buy some time here. You can't buy time with Alex Smith, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Carson Wentz. You are going year to year to year. You're literally living paycheck to paycheck, Ron Rivera. You have nothing to invest in. You can't, and I get it. You can invest in like Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Antonio Gibson, all these young guys on defense, Jamin Davis. Cool. But your quarterback, you said these teams are ahead because of the quarterback, but you dug your own grave. You didn't get a young quarterback. You didn't draft one to build around. You let go of Dwayne Haskins early. I get it. It wasn't working out. I'm not mad at that. I don't think it was working out either. But that was your answer. Alex Smith, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke, Carson Wentz. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. But it gets even worse. And I'm almost done. I promise you. Washington has started 1-4 in 2 of the last 3 seasons with Ron Rivera. Washington is currently at a 38-point differential in 2022, which is the second worst in Ron Rivera's career. Did you know in 36 games under Ron Rivera, this was after the Cowboys lost, by the way, that Washington has trailed 20-0 in 19% of games. 20-0. 3 possessions in 19% of games. And they have trailed by 20 points at one point in the game in 27% of those games. Over a quarter of the games, we have trailed 20-0 or by 20 points at some point. It could have been 27-7. At some point, we trailed by 3 possessions. Trailed at any point of the game in 91% of games. That's the second worst in the NFL. And I want to say the first was Matt Rule, who was fired today. So, Sunday, I'm not even just going to talk about, all the times where it's been terrible clock management before halftime with timeouts at the end of games and so on. This Sunday, and I think even the halftime of this Sunday, we had a chance to drive down the field, waited forever to call a timeout, finally did later. It's just a shit show. I said it the other day on Twitter jokingly, but I swear I'm pretty serious. Ron Rivera and clock management is the biggest rivalry in the NFL because he's awful. Sunday, Cam Sims has that catch in front of your sideline, and you call a challenge flag knowing that he didn't catch it. It's right there in front of you. We're watching it on TV, and we saw that he didn't catch it. So you throw the challenge flag fast. when he should have done that against, the Eagles when Devontae Smith didn't catch that pass on the sideline, which was also right in front of you. You waited too long. They got the playoff, by the way. So you throw that challenge flag. So we're out of a final timeout. Tennessee gives us the biggest gift they can. We get the ball at the 2-yard line with about 20 seconds left. First and goal at the 2-yard line. And you don't run the ball. This is, and I've seen this, and I swear I thought about the same thing when I'm watching the game. This is Brian Robinson's chance to run the ball. So 19, 20 seconds, whatever it is. This is his chance to win the game, his first game back, right? You're telling me you can't run the ball 2 yards. Say you don't get it. Say he stopped at the line. Okay. It's first down. So now it's second down. You're telling me it's going to take over what? 5 seconds? Maybe 6 seconds to get the ball in. If you don't score at the 2-yard line, which you should. If you take a look at Tennessee Titans defense, they knew we were going to throw the ball. Their formation, they were only rushing 3, maybe 4 each time in that final drive. You don't run the ball once. So say 19 seconds left, whatever. He runs it. We don't get it. It takes 6 seconds off the clock. It's at 13 seconds. You spike the ball. You stop the clock. Okay, it's third down and goal. Say it's 13 seconds left. You still have third down and fourth down to throw the ball. It doesn't take 13 seconds to do one play. You have 2 plays. It's not like the clock's going to be running. You're in the end zone or you're not. You don't run the ball one time, and you don't have that last timeout because you wasted it on the challenge. It makes no sense to me. I've had enough with the stuff of the press conferences every single time, and I tweet after every press conference because I swear to God, I don't know why I do this to myself, but I watch it. Well, I got to watch the tape. We got to play better. It doesn't just happen overnight. It is your third year, and we are worse than we were in 2020 when we had no clue who our quarterback was going to be with Alex Smith and Dwayne Haskins, Kyle Allen, all this mess. We are worse now than we were then. And we have better players now than we did then. So, at the end of the day, I think it's time for a change. We have the Bears on Thursday night. Like I said, if you're watching this after the game, pray to God we win. If we don't beat the Bears, all hell's going to break loose. And that's like the breaking of the camel's back. Then the Packers. Okay, Packers are good, but you've seen the Giants beat them. They're beatable. Then you have the Colts. If we lose those 3 games, there is no way in the world Ron Rivera stays head coach if we lose to the Bears, Packers, and Colts. Even if we beat the Bears, who we absolutely should, I don't care where we're playing. We can play in Narnia for all I care. I don't care if it's in Chicago. You win that game. Say you lose to the Packers. Okay. If you lose to the Colts, the team that traded you Carson Wentz and who look awful. Matt Ryan is the most sacked quarterback. He has the worst offensive line. If you lose to the Colts, there is no way Ron Rivera is still here. And you're like, all right, well, who takes over? To me, I don't care. And right now in the season, I've told you who I want, with D'Amico Ryans. There's some, others out there, obviously, to take over after the season. But I don't want him to stay here for the whole rest of the season. I don't care if Scott Turner becomes head coach and Zampese's the offensive coordinator. I do not care. And I know Jack Del Rio needs to go too. I'm still not sold on Scott Turner, especially after that final drive, the play calling I saw. But I don't know who has a hand in that. I don't know if that's Scott Turner or if that is Ron Rivera. But still, enough is enough, guys. I'm done. I hate it. I don't like this. I don't like not, having a good coach because Ron's a great guy. I wish he was a good coach, but he's not. And it's time to just face reality and move on from it. We are 1-4. We are last in the division. Unless some crazy turnaround happens, there's no way we make the playoffs with a wild card spot. We're not winning the division. We've already lost 2 division games. Unless some crazy stuff happens like in 2020, there's no way we make the playoffs. I'm just telling you straight up. So I don't see this team getting better because I don't see the coaching getting better. That's the one constant in every season, the 7-10, 7-10. And we're headed worse than 7-10 this year at this rate. So let me know what you guys think. Drop it in the comments. I know a lot of y'all sick of it too. Y'all watch the press conferences and everything too. Y'all heard the mess today. It's time for a change, man. Just hit the reset button. I know there's so much to this. Obviously, Dan Snyder, like I said, Jack Del Rio could get his own episode, but still, you've got to make a change of head coach. Give me someone with passion. Give me someone that can develop their players, put them in a position to succeed. I'm sick and tired of teams with worse talent than us, like the Giants, who were in their first year rebuild with Brian Daboll sitting at 4-1, beating teams like the Packers with mediocre quarterback play and winning games. We have no excuse. We have all the talent in the world to win, but we are not winning. And that's what matters. So appreciate y'all tuning in. Like I said, subscribe to the channel. Going to be bringing a lot more content with the film review and all the videos, reactions like this. But let me know what you guys think in the comment. And I will see y'all later. Peace.